Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're uncovering the secrets of a medieval Himalayan kingdom. We're going to explore massive fortresses engineered to defy the absolute worst natural elements, but also the deeply human and sometimes heartbreaking stories that took place right behind their walls. Because, it's one thing to look at old ruins or dust off ancient texts, but what actually remains of a medieval Himalayan kingdom when centuries have passed? Is it just the timber and the rock, or is it the echoes of the lives lived inside? Let's piece this together. Section 1, the Land of 52 Forts. Welcome to Gardwal. Historically, this place was known as Gardesh, which literally translates to the land of small forts. Geographically, it sits right in the central Himalayas, boxed in by Tibet, Kumaon, UP, and Himalaya Pradesh. And let me tell you, this is a remarkably rugged mountain landscape. We're talking severe altitudes, incredibly narrow valleys, and a climate that just does not mess around. Surviving out here required immense resilience, and civilization itself was shaped by the sheer physical demands of the terrain. Now, because the geography was so challenging, the land wasn't ruled by one big, easy-to-govern state early on. Instead, it was divided up among 52 petty chieftainships, each operating from their own independent fortress, or gar. You had strongholds like Nagpur Gar, famous for its temple, or Chandpur Gar and Chandkot Gar. But the one we're really zeroing in on today is Kuli Gar. This was the stronghold of the Sajwan caste, and it's exactly where a very intense human drama unfolded. Section 2. The Tragedy of Kuli Gar. Picture this. It's the 16th century, feudal society. Elders strictly arranged all marriages. But a young woman named Saru decided to defy her parents. She had seen the Sajwan chieftain of Kuli Gar at a local fair, and she insisted on marrying him. Her parents begged her not to, warning her that the harsh customs there would just break her. But she left anyway. Tragically, the romance didn't last long at all. Missing his daughter, her father sent an envoy, Saru's brother-in-law, to check in on her. While the chieftain was away hunting, when he got back and saw the envoy, he completely misread the situation. Blinded by this sudden, jealous rage, he refused to even listen to Saru's explanations and violently attacked her. Completely shattered by the betrayal of the man she gave up everything for, Saru took her own life in the nearby river. In her final moments of despair, she reportedly uttered this haunting realization: "If only I had listened to my parents, this would not be my fate." It is such a poignant reminder that right behind all that imposing stone and political power, there were deeply personal, incredibly fragile human experiences. These fortresses housed real, vulnerable lives. Section 3. Fortresses of the Elite. So these administrators, like the chieftain Saru married, ruled from formidable vernacular structures known as kothas. The term probably comes from the Sanskrit word kot, meaning a fortified structure, or kastak, an enclosed room. These definitely weren't your everyday houses. They were semi-royal, traditional residential structures built specifically to assert power, provide hardcore defense, and administer local rule over a really tough landscape. When you look down from above at a surviving kolta in Ida, the genius of the design just hits you. See that massive open central courtyard? That is not just for looks. It acts like a giant light well, bringing natural sunlight and fresh air into all the interconnected rooms. More importantly, it offered top-notch security from external threats, while giving the chieftain's household a totally private communal space for daily life and cultural events. Section 4. Engineering the Kotha. If you trace the layout of the ground and first floors in these structures, the larger kothas could have up to 48 interconnected rooms circling that courtyard. But the real magic is in the engineering. They used this brilliant interlocking combination of long wooden beams and heavy stone slabs. Why? Earthquake resistance. It was an absolute necessity for surviving the highly seismic zones of the Himalayas. The entire building could effectively flex and shift during a quake without collapsing. Now, as owners gained wealth, their architecture evolved right along with them. They'd start with something called a dandiali, which is basically a simple, unadorned, elongated, rectangular wooden veranda. But over time, they'd upgrade to a tibari. That's a highly ornate space characterized by 4 intricately carved pillars framing 3 distinct windows. It's a classic progression from pure, basic function to the ultimate medieval status symbol, putting their prosperity on full display. Section 5. Artistry in wood and stone. If you look right below those vibrantly painted wooden pillars on a tabari, you'll often find a chaja. This is a narrow, outward-extending projection made entirely of stone slabs. It seamlessly integrates with the wood above it. It really shows a masterful manipulation of local, natural materials to create extensions that were incredibly functional for weather protection, but still visually striking. And the woodcraft here is just staggering. They didn't just use simple blocks of wood. The carved pillars are divided into stable bases, hexagonal or octagonal shafts, and beautifully decorated foil-shaped arches. But the gateways themselves, the true pride of the Kota, feature multiple elaborate door limbs called dwarzakas. Each of these limbs is covered in distinct patterns, ranging from leaf designs and floral vines to complex geometry. It's an amazing display of local artistic mastery surviving through the centuries. At the very top of these grand entrance gates sits the Lalat Bim, featuring a carved image of Lord Ganesha. This wasn't placed there merely for decoration. It was intentionally carved at the apex of the entryway to bring spiritual protection and auspiciousness to the Kotha. So while the interlocking beams and stone walls gave them physical security, the Lalat Bim was believed to safeguard the inhabitants on a divine level. Section 6. Echoes of the Past. It's a pretty striking contrast when you step back and think about it. These kamathas were engineered to withstand earthquakes, severe weather, and time itself, and many still stand today. Yet the human lives inside, lives like Saru's, were incredibly fragile. They were bound by rigid social structures and completely vulnerable to the unpredictable nature of human emotion. Her tragedy echoes through these ancient, unyielding halls, reminding us that buildings are ultimately nothing without the people who inhabit them. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. How does preserving our physical history help us learn from the triumphs and tragedies of our cultural past? When we protect a kotha, we aren't just saving an earthquake-resistant wall or a pretty piece of carved wood. We are holding on to a tangible link to the artistry, the societal struggles, and the very real human emotions of the past. It's an invitation to understand exactly where we came from. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I strongly encourage you to keep exploring these fascinating pieces of our shared heritage.